anyone calls you useless, you know life has a funny way of testing us. At some point, every single one of us has heard words that cut deep. You're useless, you're not good enough, you'll never make it. And sometimes it's not even strangers. It's the people closest to us who throw those words like knives. But here's the thing, what they call you does not define you. Labels only stick if you let them. I've been there, judged, underestimated, and told to stay in a box. And every time I made a choice to rewrite the story and show the world who I really am. So if someone's ever called you useless, this speech is for you. Because today, we are going to take that word, crush it, and turn it into the fuel that powers your greatness. When someone calls you useless, it can feel like the ground beneath you has been ripped away. Words have weight. They can echo in your mind, replaying in the quiet moments when you're alone, making you question yourself, your purpose, and even your existence. But here's the truth. Their opinion of you is not your identity. Your value does not shrink because someone failed to see it. What they say doesn't define who you are, and it certainly doesn't define who you are capable of becoming. Think about it. If every great achiever in history had accepted what others labeled them, the world would be a very different place. People once called opera unfit for television. They said Walt Disney lacked imagination. Priyanka Chopra herself has shared how people told her she would never make it in Hollywood because of her accent, her looks, her background, and yet she did. Why? Because their opinions were just that, opinions. They were not the truth. When someone calls you useless, what they are really doing is projecting their own limitations onto you. It's less about who you are and more about what they can't see. Some people are so blinded by their own insecurities and failures that they want to drag others down to feel taller. Their words are often a reflection of their own fears, not your reality. Once you understand this, you take away their power. Their voice becomes background noise, while your inner voice starts to speak louder. Your value is not given by people, it's something you are born with. You are the sum of your experiences, your dreams, your struggles, your victories. No one can measure that with a careless insult. Imagine a diamond covered in mud. If someone who doesn't recognize its worth calls it a rock, does it stop being a diamond? Of course not. It just needs to be cleaned and discovered. That's you. You might be hidden under layers of pain or doubt, but your worth remains intact. The first step is to separate yourself from their words. Instead of absorbing them, observe them. Ask yourself, is this really true, or is it just their perception? 9 times out of 10, you'll find it's just their perspective, shaped by their own biases. And even if there's a grain of truth, that doesn't make you useless. It just means there's room to grow. There's a massive difference between being imperfect and being worthless. One is part of being human, the other is a lie people use to hurt you. You must also stop handing people the authority to define you. Every time you accept their words as truth, you are giving them control over your identity. Take that power back. Start affirming who you are, even if you don't fully believe it at first. Tell yourself, I am valuable, I am capable, I matter. Words can wound, but they can also heal. Use your own voice to counter the poison they try to plant in you. Another important thing to remember is that your value doesn't increase when people praise you, and it doesn't decrease when they criticize you. True self-worth is constant. It's like the ocean. Waves may rise and fall, storms may stir the surface, but underneath, the ocean remains vast and powerful. That's your soul, unshaken, unchanging, infinite in worth. It also helps to shift focus from proving them wrong to proving yourself right. When someone calls you useless, the natural instinct is to fight back, to show them they made a mistake. But the most powerful thing you can do is live your life with purpose, not for revenge but for yourself. The best answer to their insult is not anger, it's success. It's waking up every day and building a life so full of meaning that their words become irrelevant. Lastly, forgive, not for them, but for you. Carrying their words like a burden only chains you to the past. Forgiveness is not saying they were right, it's saying they no longer have the power to control how you see yourself. When you release that weight, you walk lighter, freer, stronger. So, when someone calls you useless, pause and smile, not because it doesn't hurt, but because deep down you know something they don't. Their words don't get to write your story. You are the author of your life, and no one, absolutely no one, has the right to define your value except you. When someone calls you useless, the words can sting like fire. They can pierce through your confidence and leave you questioning if you are even capable of anything at all. But here's a secret that successful people understand. Insults are not the end of your story. They can be the beginning of your transformation. Every negative word thrown at you carries energy, and you get to choose what to do with that energy. You can let it crush you, or you can turn it into the fuel that drives you forward with unstoppable ambition. Think about the most inspiring journeys you've ever heard of. They rarely start with applause. They often start with rejection, doubt, and ridicule. The very things that were meant to break them became the fire that shaped them. When someone calls you useless, instead of absorbing the insult as truth, flip it into motivation. Let it ignite a spark within you that says, "Watch me. Watch what I will do with my life." Turning insults into fuel is not about pretending words don't hurt. Of course they do. You are human, and being called worthless cuts deep. The key is not to bury that pain, but to use it. Pain has power. It can either paralyze you or propel you. The difference lies in what you choose to do with it. If someone calls you useless at work, instead of shrinking, you can use that moment as a challenge to learn, grow, and master your craft until your results silence every critic. There's a psychological shift that happens when you decide to transform negativity into ambition. Instead of seeing insults as a verdict, you start seeing them as free energy. Every time someone underestimates you, you gain another reason to push harder. It's like adding wood to a fire. The more they doubt you, the hotter your flame burns. Some of the greatest achievers in the world were fueled by the words "you can't." That phrase became their battle cry. But here's an important thing. Turning insults into fuel doesn't mean living your life just to prove others wrong. If you make it all about them, you'll end up chasing validation instead of purpose. The real power comes when you use their words as a catalyst, but keep your focus on building the life you desire. It's not about revenge, it's about transformation. Their insult becomes the match, but you are the one who creates the fire that lights your path. To do this, you must build resilience. Every time someone calls you useless, stop and breathe. Don't react in anger. Instead, let their words settle and ask yourself, how can I use this? Maybe it's a sign you need to work harder. Maybe it's a reminder that you have untapped potential. Or maybe it's just an opportunity to prove to yourself that no one's opinion defines you. That mental shift turns what was meant to hurt you into something that empowers you. Turning insults into fuel also requires you to remember your why. Why are you here? Why do you want to succeed? When you anchor yourself to a purpose bigger than their words, insults become noise. They may sting for a moment, but they can't shake you. Your ambition becomes like a train on its tracks, unstoppable no matter how many stones are thrown. There will be times when people's words echo louder than your own inner voice. In those moments, write down their insults and next to them, write your goals. Let every negative word become a reason to move closer to the dream you've envisioned. This turns their attack into your advantage. They gave you the insult. You turned it into momentum. And one day, when you reach that point where you're living the life you dreamed of, you'll look back and realize something powerful. Their insult didn't break you, it built you. That moment they called you useless was not your ending. It was the fuel that set you on fire. So the next time someone dares to call you useless, don't crumble. Don't fight back with anger. Simply let those words sink deep, not into your heart to wound you, but into your spirit to fuel you. Then rise, work, and create a life so powerful that their insult becomes nothing more than the spark that awakened the giant within you. When someone calls you useless, their voice can easily become louder than your own thoughts. It can replay in your head until you begin to believe it. That's why one of the most powerful things you can do in that moment is to silence the noise around you and amplify your purpose. The world will always have opinions. People will always have something to say, but what they say cannot define your destiny unless you let it. Your purpose is the compass that keeps you grounded when criticism tries to blow you off course. Silencing the noise doesn't mean you ignore everything and everyone. It means you learn to filter. Not every voice deserves space in your mind. Some people speak out of ignorance, some out of jealousy, and some out of their own pain. If you carry every opinion with you, you'll become weighed down with baggage that was never yours to hold. When someone calls you useless, the first thing you must ask yourself is, do they really know my journey? Do they know my dreams? Do they know my heart? Most of the time, the answer is no. Their words are based on a tiny piece of your story, not the whole picture. That's why you must not let their noise drown out the truth of who you are and where you are going. Amplifying your purpose means you shift your focus from what they said to why you are here. When you have a strong sense of purpose, insults lose their power. Purpose acts like a shield. It reminds you that your life is bigger than one person's opinion. It tells you that your existence has meaning even when others can't see it yet. Maybe your purpose is to create, to serve, to inspire, or to build something that leaves a mark. Whatever it is, hold on to it like a lifeline, because when you are anchored in purpose, words can shake you for a moment, but they cannot move you off your path. There's also a deeper layer to silencing the noise inside your own head. Sometimes the most damaging words are not what others say, but what you repeat to yourself after they're gone. That internal echo can become your biggest enemy. You begin to replay their insult, and before long it becomes your belief. That's why you must actively speak against it. Replace their words with your own. Instead of "I'm useless," tell yourself, "I'm learning, I'm growing, I have value." You may not feel it instantly, but with time, your own voice can drown out theirs. It also takes discipline to create an environment that supports your purpose. If you keep surrounding yourself with people who tear you down, the noise will always be loud. But if you intentionally choose to be around those who see your potential, the volume of encouragement will overpower the criticism. Even one positive voice can make a difference when you feel like giving up. Another key to silencing the noise is action. Purpose is amplified when you move towards it. The more you work on your goals, the less weight other people's opinions carry. When you are busy building, there's no time to be distracted by negativity. Action creates momentum, and momentum creates confidence. That confidence will naturally make the noise fade into the background because you'll start to see results that prove their words wrong without you having to say a thing. You must also understand that your purpose is not for everyone to understand. Some people will call you useless simply because they can't comprehend your vision. They see where you are, not where you are going. That's why it's dangerous to hand over your self-worth to people who lack the ability to see your future. Their perspective is limited, your purpose is limitless. Over time, as you keep walking in purpose, the same voices that once tried to break you often become silent. Some may even turn into admirers, but the goal is not to silence them. The goal is to silence their power over you. When you reach that point, their words become background static, there, but irrelevant. So when someone calls you useless, pause. Don't let their voice become the soundtrack of your life. Lower the volume of their opinion and raise the volume of your purpose. Keep reminding yourself why you are here. Keep moving towards what you were born to do, and let that purpose speak louder than any insult ever could. In the end, the noise will fade, but your purpose will remain, and that is where your true strength lies. When someone calls you useless, there's an instant temptation to let their words shape your identity. You begin to wonder if they see something in you that you can't see yourself. But here's the truth. No one else has the right to define who you are. You are not a reflection of their perception. You are the result of your own choices, growth, and dreams. Redefining yourself on your own terms means taking back the pen from everyone who has ever tried to write your story and deciding for yourself who you want to be. It starts with understanding that people's opinions are often filtered through their own fears and limitations. Someone who calls you useless might be projecting their own insecurity, or they might only be judging you based on a single moment without seeing your full journey. If you accept their definition of you, you are handing them control over your future. The first step in redefining yourself is to reject their labels. You don't have to be what they say. You don't have to live under the weight of their judgment. Redefining yourself is not about proving them wrong. It's about proving yourself right. It's about looking in the mirror and asking, who do I want to become? And then choosing to align your actions with that vision. When you set your own standards for success, people's opinions lose their power. Someone may call you useless today, but if you know you're working toward the person you're meant to be, their words become irrelevant noise. This process also requires you to let go of the past version of yourself that may have made mistakes or fallen short. Too often, we carry guilt or shame from old failures and allow them to become our identity. But redefining yourself means recognizing that you are not stuck in who you were yesterday. You are a work in progress. Every day is a chance to rewrite your story. Even if you've stumbled, you can decide right now to take a different path. To truly redefine yourself, you must set a vision bigger than anyone else's opinion. Ask yourself what kind of life you want to live and what kind of person you want to be. Write it down, speak it out loud. The more you declare it, the more it becomes real. This isn't just about motivation. It's about creating a blueprint for your identity that no one can take away. When you have a clear picture of who you are becoming, insults lose their grip because they don't match the future you are stepping into. Another important part of redefining yourself is action. You can't just think about who you want to be, you have to live it. Every small step you take in alignment with your vision builds confidence and reshapes the way you see yourself. When someone calls you useless, let that be the moment you double down on your goals, show up for yourself. Invest in your growth. As you change your actions, your identity follows, and soon the version of you they insulted no longer exists. It's also vital to protect your space. Surround yourself with people who see your potential and speak life into you. When you are rebuilding and redefining yourself, you can't afford constant negative voices around you. Find environments that nurture your growth. The right circle can remind you of your worth when you forget and push you towards your vision when you feel like giving up. Redefining yourself on your own terms is not an overnight process. It takes time, intention, and resilience. You will have moments where the old labels try to creep back in, but each time you choose to reject them and step into your vision, you take back more of your power. Over time, you'll notice a shift. You stop living as the version of you shaped by others and start living as the version shaped by your own hands. So if someone calls you useless, don't argue with them. Don't waste your energy fighting their perception. Instead, quietly and powerfully redefine yourself. Decide who you are, align with it, and live it until the world has no choice but to see you for who you truly are. Their words will fade, but your self-defined identity will last forever. When someone calls you useless, one of the most powerful ways to fight back is not through arguments or anger, but by surrounding yourself with people who see your worth. The voices you allow into your life shape the way you see yourself. If you are constantly hearing negativity, criticism, and doubt, it's easy to start believing those words. But when you are around people who remind you of your value, even on the days you forget it, their encouragement becomes a shield against every insult the world throws at you. The truth is, no matter how strong you are, no one thrives in isolation. Humans are wired for connection, and the right connections can change everything. When someone calls you useless, that statement only has power if it echoes inside an empty space. But if your life is filled with voices that affirm your potential, the insult loses its sting. It becomes just one opinion drowned out by a chorus of belief in who you are. Surrounding yourself with people who see your worth doesn't mean finding those who will flatter you or tell you what you want to hear. It means building relationships with people who can see beyond your flaws and mistakes, who recognize your strengths even when you can't, and who challenge you to rise higher. These are the ones who will remind you of your purpose when insults make you doubt it. Sometimes the problem isn't that we don't have supportive people in our lives. It's that we spend too much time giving weight to the wrong voices. If someone constantly tears you down or belittles you, their words will eventually seep into your identity. That's why you have to intentionally distance yourself from toxic influences and lean into those who genuinely believe in you. Protecting your space is not selfish, it's survival. Building a circle of people who see your worth requires honesty and vulnerability. You have to let others see your struggles and fears. When you open up to the right people, they can speak life into the areas where you feel broken. They can remind you of your strengths when you're too blinded by pain to see them. That kind of support doesn't just help you heal, it helps you grow. Sometimes, finding these people means stepping out of your comfort zone. They might not always be in your family or current circle of friends. You might have to seek out mentors, communities, or groups where your vision and potential are understood. Surround yourself with dreamers, builders, and encouragers, people who are not intimidated by your growth but inspired by it. The energy of a supportive environment has the power to transform how you see yourself and how you respond to insults. It's also important to remember that surrounding yourself with people who see your worth doesn't mean you rely on them for validation. It means you allow their encouragement to reflect the truth you already carry inside you. Their words don't create your value, they remind you of it. That's why, when someone calls you useless, the right circle can immediately counter that lie with truth. Instead of letting that insult sink in, you hear voices saying, "You are capable, you are needed, you are more than enough." The strength of having such people around you becomes even more evident during your low points. When you're exhausted, when you've failed, when you feel like giving up, that's when their belief in you can carry you until you find your own strength again. Their support becomes a bridge between who you are now and who you are becoming. Over time, as you continue to surround yourself with people who see your worth, something powerful happens. You start to see yourself through their eyes. Their encouragement becomes part of your inner dialogue. Even when they're not around, their words echo louder than the insults ever could. This is how you build resilience, not by pretending insults don't hurt, but by reinforcing your life with voices that speak life louder than any negativity. So when someone calls you useless, don't waste your energy trying to convince them otherwise. Instead, check who is standing around you. If the people in your life don't see your worth, find those who do. Create a circle of belief so strong that no insult can break through it. In that space you will grow, you will heal, and you will rise into the version of yourself that no one can ever again call useless. When someone calls you useless, the natural reaction is to feel crushed, maybe even angry. Those words can dig deep, especially if they come from someone you care about or respect. But the most powerful response is not to shout back or argue. It's to become so unstoppable that their words lose all meaning. Proving them wrong isn't about revenge, it's about building a life so strong, so purposeful, that their insult becomes irrelevant. The best answer to being called useless is undeniable progress. Becoming unstoppable starts with a mindset shift. Instead of internalizing their words, you turn them into motivation. When someone tells you that you can't, it's an invitation to show that you can, not to make them eat their words, but to prove to yourself that their opinion does not define you. It's not about winning their approval, it's about refusing to let them write your story. Their insult becomes the spark that pushes you to discover what you are truly capable of. To reach that point, you have to make a choice. Will you let their words cage you, or will you let them push you to break every barrier in front of you? The difference between people who stay stuck under insults and those who rise above them is not talent or luck, it's determination. Becoming unstoppable is not about never failing, it's about refusing to quit. Every setback becomes a lesson, every no becomes fuel, and every insult becomes a stepping stone. When someone calls you useless, they are making a statement based on what they see right now. But what they see is not the whole story. You are a work in progress. You are not just who you are today, you are also who you are becoming. Proving them wrong means focusing on that future version of yourself and working towards it with relentless energy. Small steps matter, consistency matters. Every day you choose to grow, you are building evidence that their words were nothing but noise. Part of becoming unstoppable is also learning to tune out the need for validation altogether. If you build your entire life around proving people wrong, you'll always be chasing someone else's opinion. True power comes when you don't just succeed to silence critics. You succeed because you know you are made for more. Their insult might light the fire, but your purpose is what keeps it burning long after their voice has faded. Action is the most powerful response to negativity. You don't have to argue or explain yourself. Just work, build, create. Let your results speak so loudly that there's no room left for their words. Success doesn't need announcements, it speaks for itself. And the beauty of this approach is that, over time, the insult loses its sting because you are too focused on growing to care about proving anything. Surrounding yourself with the right people also plays a role in becoming unstoppable. The journey is not easy, and you'll need encouragement along the way. Find those who believe in you, who remind you of your strengths, and who push you to keep going when you feel like stopping. Their voices will help drown out the memory of the insult until it becomes nothing more than a faint echo in the background. The day will come when you look back and realize that being called useless was not the end, but the beginning. It was the moment that woke you up and pushed you to dig deeper, work harder, and rise higher than you thought you could. The insult that once hurt you becomes the reason you found your strength. So when someone calls you useless, don't fight with words. Don't waste your energy trying to convince them otherwise. Just get up, focus, and build a life so full of meaning that their insult becomes laughable. Be relentless, be resilient. Keep moving until the version of you they insulted no longer exists. That's what it means to prove them wrong by becoming unstoppable, not just for them to see, but for you to finally believe in your own power. When people call you useless, they think they are defining you, but in reality, they are only revealing how little they truly see. Their words are not a prophecy, they are just noise. Your worth is not determined by what anyone says in a moment of ignorance or cruelty. It is carved into you by the very fact that you are here, breathing, living, and capable of becoming more than anyone can imagine. You are not useless, you are not broken beyond repair. You are not a mistake, you are a work in progress, a story still being written, a masterpiece under construction. Every insult hurled at you can either be a chain that holds you down or a spark that ignites your rise. The choice has always been yours. The world will try to label you. Some will underestimate you. Others will dismiss you. But none of that matters as long as you decide, every single day, to define yourself by your vision, your purpose, and your determination. Take the pain of their words and turn it into power. Take their doubt and let it become the fire that fuels your next step. Surround yourself with voices that remind you of your value, and never forget to listen to the quiet strength inside you that says, I am more than this moment. One day, you will look back and realize that the insult that once broke you became the reason you built yourself stronger. You will see that being called useless was not a curse but a turning point, a reminder that your identity belongs to you and you alone. So walk out of those words, rise above those labels, and live in such a way that the world has no choice but to see what you have known all along. You were never useless. You were unstoppable. And now it's time to prove it with every breath you take.